How about I? Well, let's try that again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Lunch with Law Enforcement. We're going to go through, start with some great, very special introductions here. We've got Sheriff Tony Spurlock. Sheriff, how are you doing?
I'm good, and I just saw Kayla says that she's going to get some training on lip reading, so that's pretty good. So we're going to see if that's one of the tests here, just to see if it works. So thanks for having me here, guys.
Absolutely. We've also got Chief Tim Moore. Chief, how are you doing?
I'm good, everybody. Good to see you. Good to be with you.
And Sergeant Jeff Miller. Sarge.
Welcome back, everybody. We're glad you guys are joining us again. We're really enjoying this series we're doing.
And then I'm Deputy Jason Blanchard. Just to give you guys a little rundown on how this works today, we are taking questions in an open forum format where you can go into your either Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or Periscope and ask your questions in there. We do our best to answer. We might not get to all of the answers in this live airing, but know that we will try to do it in the comments if we're not able to do it right here. That being said, I kind of wanted to bring up a story I saw while we're waiting for some questions to come in, talking about a young man up in Wyoming named Bridger. Bridger was a 6-year-old boy who actually stepped in front of a dog that was trying to attack his 4-year-old sister and ended up taking a pretty serious injury. I'm going to go ahead and try to bring up an image of that while we're here. Sheriff, you want to go ahead and talk about what that means and what kind of action that is?
Well, when we saw the story, it was just really impressive. Here's a young man protecting his little sister, and I mean, just jumped right in, put himself in danger, and of course he's a youngster, obviously himself, and it really just touched the chord with cops all over the place and first responders, how brave he is, and he sustained some serious injuries, and from our office we were so impressed and impacted by him, and he's a ways away from us. We were so impressed. We're like, we need to make that guy an honorary deputy sheriff for us. He's just an amazing young man. And, we've been trying to work through talking to his family. And it's just something that when we saw the story, it was just so impressive that touched our cops, where cops were talking about it in the hallway and people were having conversation about what a brave little young man he is, and save his little sister from being attacked. It was very impressive, and we were just touched by it. And so when we had an opportunity to say a couple things and give a shout out to him, we wanted to be a part of that.
Absolutely. So just to be clear, Sheriff, you're going to go ahead and send him an honorary deputies packet, and we'll send him some goodies from us.
That's right. So we'll send him some goodies and thank him for being a good brother and a good citizen. And we hope that we get to meet him someday.
Absolutely. I can't begin to just say how impressive it was to hear a 6-year-old stepping in front of danger to protect someone else. And that's something that always holds true and just really hits our hearts right where it counts, because that's really what we live for. That's what we do.
Yeah, it tells you a lot about his character when it's 6 years old, makes that type of decision. And he knows he's in harm's way when he does it, right? So his parents ought to be pretty proud.
Absolutely. So, Bridger, if you come across this, know that you're our hero, man. We love hearing stuff like that, and be expecting a package from us.
All right.
Sarge, you want to go ahead and launch with some questions starting out here?
Well, does the sheriff want to say anything before we get going, or?
Well, I think the only thing I want to say is I appreciate the community being involved, and we encourage you to ask us questions and be a part of the community and be a part of public safety. Obviously, our fundamental mission is to keep people safe, keep the community safe, and to enforce the laws. And we really appreciate the relationship that we have with the citizens here in Douglas County, where they work so closely together. We have a great relationship with the 3 municipalities and the 3 chiefs of police working together to try to make our community seamless and safe. And we really appreciate the response that we get from the community as a whole. So thanks for being a part of this. And Obviously, if you have any questions, please type them, or if you have the need to have a private conversation, whatever, you can always go to dcsheriff.net and reach out to us as well there.
All right.
So the first and looks like the majority of questions right now, Sheriff, is relating to mask and mask enforcement. Do you want to go ahead and address that a little bit?
Sure. So I was informed by the director of County Sheriffs of Colorado that there was going to be a press conference from the governor in regards to some mask new orders, new regulations. Obviously, we didn't get to see that right now. We were prepping for this presentation, but I did get some information that it appears that the governor is going to make a mandatory mask regulation regarding citizens that are in the public areas of indoor buildings. It may be more complicated than that. That's all that I have available to me right up front. But I think it's important to know that if that is true, in fact, and that's what's happening right now as we're on this call, it's important to know that the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, our fundamental mission, obviously, is public safety and to enforce the laws, and I intend to be a part of that. Now, we're not going to, put resources on it and go actively seek out people that aren't wearing masks. But if we get calls, there might be a circumstance where we get a call in a business where a person, refuses to wear one or doesn't want to wear one in the business. That business has the legal right to ask you to leave, and we know we may be called to come and assist them in that fashion as a possible trespass. So, we want to work with our community. The goal here is compliance, self-compliance, and we hope, and it's important to know that Douglas County, the citizens have been already doing this for a long period of time. We've been very compliant and been part of really a good positive messaging going out of how the community is working together with trying to keep everyone safe. And so we're kind of proud of that here. But the other point of it is that if this is true, what happens if it is a law? Then my office would be responsible for enforcing that in the unincorporated areas. And if the circumstances warranted itself, I would direct the deputies to take appropriate action.
And Sheriff, it looks like, looking at the most recent news report, that the governor did do the order for people 10 and older that have to wear a mask whenever they're in public indoor spaces. So not outdoors, just for clarity, at least what I'm seeing so far. I haven't got a chance to read all the way through it. But indoor public places, masks. And again, everyone has to remember, when you wear a mask, it's to prevent people from getting sick from you. And when they wear a mask, it's so that they don't spread any viruses to you. And if everybody wears their mask where they're supposed to, probably very few will get sick. So if everybody just follows the rules and does it the right thing for the right reasons, I think we'll get through this just fine. Did you?
You see those statements people say.
So one of the things that's being asked here is if we can we'll just call it out. It's Kevin Ryan is saying what's the difference between enforcing laws and enforcing decrees?
The governor has the full authority under the state constitution and the state law to issue public health orders, and those are lawful orders. It's not a decree, it's a lawful order, and the Constitution permits that. And so that's how we function in the state of Colorado. And so it is technically a law, and it is a law that can be enforced by law enforcement.
Good deal. Just a reminder for everybody out there, we're taking questions via the comments. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free to launch it in the comments. A lot of love coming our way right now from a lot of different people, just saying how much we are appreciated. Can't tell you how much that means to us in some otherwise what could be difficult times. We love the support from the community. You want to talk about that a little bit, Sheriff or Chief?
Well, Sheriff, I'm sure he'll chime in on this, but it's a big deal to us. I mean, we teach our people, and the sheriff exemplifies, and he requires all of our staff to recognize how important the relationship with the community is, and it's kind of the glue that holds everything together. We feel blessed in Douglas County that we have such a good relationship with our community, and that relationship isn't something we take for granted. It's a gift. Every day we have it, it's a gift. We don't ever want to mess it up. It is important, but one of the ways that works so well is that we work together. It's not us versus them versus us. We don't dictate or create edicts on things that are silly and improper. We work together. We take their input and we police the way the community wants to be policed, and that's how the sheriff requires us to do it. And all that together makes us, I think, a good organization working in a great community. We have our challenges, like every place does, but it's very safe here. And that's because of the community and law enforcement all working together with the same kind of goals in mind. And I don't think we should ever let garbage that goes on around us change that for us.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, that sums it up very well. We are probably the most blessed community around of the support from the community. And just yesterday we had a group that brought in pizza. I will tell you that all of you out there are subject to the cause of the failure of our weight program here at the sheriff's office because of all the donuts and pizza and things. And to be honest, at least two of the three on this screen right now, I'm not going to point out to them, Jason or Jeff, but those two of the three of them, they usually get first dibs at it and they get the best food. But, you know, it's just the community comes to us for so many things. And then in turn, they give us so much. We have so many people that come and want to donate to the Deputy Sheriff Association and make sure that they hear a story about an officer that was injured and they want to make sure that that officer and his family or her family are taken care of. And it's one of those kinds of things that really makes us feel good, and that the officers want to come to work, and the staff, the support staff here come to work, because we get so many comments and we share them. And I'll tell you, if you send me a card, we share them. We put them out on our electric notification board. We share information all the time with the community about what a note or a comment that came in that's positive. And I'll even tell you, we share about some of, if someone has a negative comment too, we share that and we talk about it. Is it something that we can do to improve our service to the community, or how we can be better to work transparency inside our law enforcement with the rest of the community? So we really enjoy it, and we thank you all for the great support. And I do see a lot of the great support comments that are coming through on the notes. So thank you very much.
We got a question about National Night Out this year. Usually that's the first Tuesday in August. Unfortunately, nationwide, National Night Out's been canceled. I think nationwide they're trying to do something later this year in October, but as many know, October in Colorado may not be a good time. So we're not going to be doing a National Night Out this year. And we're trying to do some other things. One of the things we did is we're having a parking lot cinema in August. Unfortunately, it sold out in a couple hours. So
way faster than we thought.
Yeah, so it was a lot more popular. So we're exploring doing some more things like that. So we're trying to do things while we're still trying to stay in compliance with health orders and stuff like that. So we're looking to do some things.
Next question is, how is the removal of qualified immunity going to affect our agency?
Sure. So that's under Senate Bill 217, which the County Sheriffs of Colorado and the Colorado Chiefs of Police and the state FOP played a major role in working with the legislators to actually bring the experts to the table and have conversation about how this bill will affect law enforcement. There's still a lot of things in that thing that we think that we need to have refined, and we're going to work with the legislators when they come back into session again. So it's not perfect by any means. There's some issues that we would like to have clarified, but the the qualified immunity, it's really already in place, and I think a lot of people just weren't aware of that. There's already requirements that if you are in an egregious violation of a policy or a law, you can be sued punitively by a plaintiff, and your governmental immunity may not apply depending on how the lawsuit is filed. So it was already in place. What's put in place right now is a cap on what the officer may have to pay for punitive damages, and we're working with the legislators on how we can, really define how that is being defined in the statute. And of course, there's been no cases yet, so we're going to have to wait for case law to probably help us through this, unless we can get some clarification at the next session. But I don't think it's going to impact us at all, because we have very professional officers that are doing a great job, and we take very strong action against officers who are violating not only our policies but any state law. We take aggressive action against them from an employment standard. So this is in place, has been in place. They've just kind of changed some of the language. We have to work through that, and working with the county sheriffs of Colorado, Colorado Chiefs of Police, and local FOP, I think we'll be able to do that with the legislators this next session, and sort out any of the kind of nuances that are still out there.
Very good. Chief, I got a question for you that maybe you'd be good to answer. They're asking about programs that reach out to families that they're home so much, and looking for programs that might help with violence. Or
Not sure I understand the question, Jeff.
well, they're looking for what kind of programs are out there that may help with family violence.
Oh, well, family violence is a challenge for all communities. Douglas County is unique that it's largely single-family homes throughout the county. Most of our population is people who live here. Some jurisdictions have just a big daytime population and nobody who lives there at night. Douglas County's population is largely nighttime population with people who live there all the time. So family violence is always a concern. There's several resources out there for people, and we know with COVID, with lots of people being home together where they're usually not, that people who maybe had an avenue to escape violence or seek help might have a little bit more of a difficult time doing that when the perpetrator is home all the time with them, whether it's children or spouses, men or women. One great organization that we rely heavily on here in the 18th Judicial District is the Crisis Center, and it's thecrisiscenter.org is their website. And they're available for men and women, people with families, people with pets. They have fabulous legal resources, legal advocacy programs, programs to help people that are that need to navigate the court process if charges have been filed, or even if they have never reported a crime to law enforcement. The Crisis Center has a 24-hour crisis line to help them through their situation and help them determine whether or not law enforcement should be involved or whether it's a matter for a different process. And then they have excellent clinical counseling and help for kids and families that are going through a tough time. Again, the Douglas County Department of Human Services is another great place for certain types of help. And there's no one size fits all type of help for everybody. So sometimes you have to make a few calls and do a little bit of talking through the problem. But Douglas County has a lot here for folks. And if they're ever not sure, just call and meet with a deputy, and the deputy will help you out with that stuff. We want to help our community survive this, and we want to make sure everybody's safe at the end of the day. And family violence is never okay. It's just not.
Couple people here that are expressing some concern about us not wearing masks. I want to make it very clear for everyone out there that we are in our individual offices behind closed doors with masks on hand of all kinds. So just know it's not a matter of us not wearing masks right now and whatnot. We want to make that clear to the people out there. That's why we use this forum instead of coming and meeting you in person. We'd love to be out there shaking hands and eating donuts with you in real life, but in the times we are right now, we're going to go ahead and sit here and keep doing this virtual setup.
But hey, Jason, people can send us donuts. We'll eat them.
Absolutely.
Will not say no.
Care of Jason Blanchard, please. That's next question is, are the SROs still going to be in the schools in Douglas County now that it's been announced that they will be open 5 days a week, normal school?
Sure, yes. So I have had conversation with the school district, and we are on track to put our SROs in the schools. And Douglas County is unique. We have SROs in our high schools, middle schools, and then we have a program, a Marshall's program in our elementary schools. So we will have SROs in our schools here in Douglas County. We also contract with a couple private schools. And so those schools will also have SROs in those schools that contract with us. So we're good to go.
Yeah, the SROs are very excited to get back to school. We had to help them with.
Go ahead, Sarge.
We had to help them with some video stuff last year, and they're like, "This isn't what we do. We want to be in the classroom with the kids, have an interaction." So.
And of course, they all got reassigned to details when we went to COVID. So they're smattered all around the office. And I think they'd really like to get back to their regular jobs now. So.
Well, one of the things that people don't realize is the people that are in that SRO position are there because they're passionate about working with the kids. These are people that they dedicate their lives to helping these kids and be that resource in the school in any way they can do.
Yeah, and what most people don't know, the officers that work in the schools, while yes, they're deputy sheriffs, and yes, sometimes they have to do enforcement, their primary job is to prevent problems. It's to help the kids through the difficult things that kids deal with today, and there are so many of them that kids have to navigate, and the deputies can be a confidant. They act as a counselor in many ways. They help keep parents informed and teachers and counselors informed on what's going on with the kids, kind of the ebbs and flows of what the kids are into and what they're doing. The officers are a key part of that, and they don't love the enforcement part. They love the interaction and help part, and that's what we're most proud of. Is they do a lot of that and are good at it.
I'm gonna respond to this question here about regarding budget cuts causing the layoffs and stuff. We have not laid anyone off, and I work very closely with the Board of County Commissioners on the budget, and we did submit our budget about, when was it, Tim? 3 or 4 days ago. Yeah,
last Friday.
Yeah, we submitted our budget, so we're not having any layoffs. This time of year is usually some people start retiring, and we have some of those coming up, but we're not going to be impacted, I do not believe, by any kind of significant budget reduction, either based upon current COVID issues or any other kind of things. We've been working very closely with commissioners, and we feel very comfortable that we'll be able to continue to have the same service that we had before COVID.
No, Sheriff, it might be important to talk about the impact Senate Bill 217 is having on our budget, because it is going to cost us quite a bit of money. And we're hurrying as quick as we can to get everybody outfitted with the tasers and body cameras and all that technology that goes into some of those requirements built into the bill that have to be met soon.
That's a good point, Tim. And so the bill is pretty extensive, and there's a lot of things. There's, I think, 10 or 11 actionable items that we know that we have to respond to. But one of the things that's going to be pretty expensive is body-worn cameras for all deputy sheriffs. Since 2015, all of our patrol division and some special units have had body-worn cameras. But now all the officers, everyone that you see on this screen, would be required to have a body-worn camera if they had any contact with a citizen. And those things are incredibly expensive. It's not so much the body-worn camera itself, it's the storage of the data that's incredibly expensive and to maintain. So we're working with that. Now, we don't have to have that for a couple of years, but we always like to be forward thinkers, and so we're working on that right now with the commissioners to do a stair-step approach to this cost that's going to have implemented by 217. There's a number of other things in regards to training that's really going to impact us, and we did have to increase our training budget just based upon the training requirements of certain elements in SB 217, and we suspect that that'll be fine. The training units of all of the municipalities in Douglas County, Castle Rock, Parker, Lone Tree, and the Sheriff's Office have been working together. As a matter of fact, yesterday they were all here together working on how we would put training together so it's, again, seamless when you move from one jurisdiction to the next when you're inside Douglas County. And that's another great thing about living and doing business here and raising your children in Douglas County, that the 4 law enforcement agencies, and I should bring in the Colorado State Patrol, they work very closely with us as well. We work very closely together to make the citizens safe when they're here, traveling, or doing business.
Sarge, you want to address law enforcement discretion at all? The question is relating to masks, obviously, here, but do we want to talk about discretion in general and how we're able to use a little bit along the way? And
a lot of it, it goes along the lines of education. If we think that the person will comply to the health order simply by having a conversation with them, that's what we want to do. So it's all about getting the person what to do, what the health order wants them to do, without having to take some type of drastic action. So if we feel that a warning or a talking to will fix it, then we have the discretion to do that. As long as we stay in compliance with the health order ourselves.
Yeah, Jason, I think everything we do is going to be geared towards the voluntary compliance first. That's what we want to seek. I think it'll be very rare that we encounter somebody who simply refuses to wear a mask in a public place and has to be where enforcement is required. Could happen. And I think the officers out there, the sheriff's been very clear on his expectations. I think they're prepared to handle those things. I think all jurisdictions, the officers are prepared. But in reality, it's not really the best use of deputies or police officers to have to spend a lot of time on that. So the voluntary compliance piece is what we're hoping and really seeking, because the officers during COVID became very busy with all kinds of unique things that didn't exist before. Crime changes and trends changing. Crime went down in many ways, but certain crimes went up. And the officers never stopped being busy, and they're not going to stop being busy with the new mask mandate. But they'll be out there doing the best they can. And again, we're all in this together, so I think that's our attitude about it. But yeah, we're going to have to probably deal with some of that at some time, where there'll be some non-compliance, but we're prepared for that.
And I want to respond to a couple people commenting on the, what about if you have COPD or if you have some other kind of health condition, and you or your doctor feels that a mask could complicate that. I'm going to make it very clear, we're not doctors. So, this information is coming from the health department, who consults with physicians, and not everything is going to be seamless. I always encourage everyone, if you have some kind of a medical concern or whatever, call your doctor and work through that. The goal here from my office is to try to keep as many people safe as we possibly can when we're in our office. That's why we have a mask policy inside our office. I spoke to the chief judge this morning about that very thing, about how we're working through with jury trials that are starting. And so, we want to work with everyone, and we understand there are circumstances. Trust us, we work in the field of human nature. And so there's a lot of things that come up. And the deputies, as we were talking about discretion, the deputies have the ability to look through a lot of circumstances and situations and speak to the people and try to find ways to accommodate both the citizen and the law and whatever the circumstance is. So, we're not here just to say, well, this is the way it's going to be and or else. We want to work with our community, and we want to help understand your concerns and your situation. And the key here really is for us, again, this is the office of sheriff. I'm charged and elected by the people of Douglas County to enforce the laws. and to do it in a safe and non-discriminatory manner. And we do that by working with each other. And I think the more that we communicate and the more that we share, we can get that done.
And we're all an extension of him. So what he says goes.
That's right. And so I'm gonna double down here. I'm gonna change the attitude a little bit here. I'm gonna double down on Jason's send donuts in care of Sheriff Tony Spurlock, not Jason Blanchard. Sorry.
Oh, man.
We've had ice cream too a couple times.
He's not a sharer. He didn't learn very well in that 4th grade class.
I'm a sharer after I'm done. I want to make. Oh man. So next question is there was a couple of questions on how to report speeding and whatnot. I'll go ahead and take that one. We have a traffic hotline. If you call into our dispatch, our non-emergent number, which is 303-660-7500. One more time, 303-660-7500. They can forward you to a traffic hotline or a traffic complaint line. That is specifically there. You got to leave a very detailed voicemail that will give exactly what your complaint is, where it's happening, and the times that it's happening. And for lack of a better term, that releases the hounds or our traffic unit into that area. They will actually go in and do enforcement during that time, looking for that speeder or that street race or whatever might be happening. And then they're going to go ahead and start writing citations in that area, because that's what the traffic team is there for, is to enforce the traffic law according to complaints.
Yeah, and they actually do listen to it, several times a day. So they're aware.
Oh yeah. Fair warning though is that we've had a couple people that complained and then got pulled over and got a ticket and complained about that. So it is truly, it's not an exempt for you just because you complained.
We got a question on what the public can do to help the sheriff's office. So I don't know, Chief or Sheriff, you guys want to answer that? And
I'll just say the community, when it communicates with its government, that helps. And when you're communicating with the sheriff's office, I'm just going to touch base on a couple of things. We still fall victim to car thefts and car prowls because people leave their purses and their bags and their briefcases in their cars at nighttime, and criminals will come down and look into the car. If they see something there, they're going to break a window, or if the door is unlocked, they're going to steal it. And we encourage you to take those things in-house and secure them. But also, often people leave their garage doors open by mistake. A lot of things are going on. They're watering the plants or taking the dog out or something. And if you see that in your neighbor, and you know that your neighbor normally puts the garage door down at a certain time, hopefully you know who your neighbors are. You give them a call and say, hey, I just want to let you know your garage door's open. You have no idea how much that reduces the crime when we have the community closing their garage doors, taking their valuables out of their cars. Same way when you're going to the dog park or the gym. We got a really cool new program that these guys have worked out that we're going to be publicizing here. There it is. If you leave it, they will thieve it. Very nicely done, Jason and Jeff. Those are going to go up to our gym areas, dog parks and stuff, just to remind people, hide your stuff underneath the seat or take it with you or put it in your trunk or somewhere, so you don't fall victim to that. Those are the kinds of things that we're always looking for. But also, if you just see something that you think that is suspicious, call our office. We're encouraged that we're capable to handle those calls, and we really look for assistance from the citizens. And keep in mind that this is 844 square miles, 370-some thousand people in this community, and there's a lot of people moving up and down the freeways going to and fro. We can't be everywhere and we can't see everything. But if you see something, we encourage you to share it with local law enforcement, and that's how we can impact it, because that's really what our focus is, our job. And if we can minimize the criminal behavior, that's what our goal is to do.
Well, here's the thing: is a lot of times, a lot of people go to the same dog park or the same gym or the same trailhead every day, and they're familiar with what's normal there, and we're not necessarily always familiar with that. So if you're familiar with that area and go, that's just not right, that's when you got to let us know. Mm-hmm. Because we might drive through it and they may not look suspicious to us.
Jeff, can you also just talk about how much theft really occurs at those trailheads and parking lots? It's a problem, and people really need to leave their valuables at home.
Right. We were just in a parking lot, up in the northern part of the county at a trailhead the other day, and just walking by cars, we saw a number of cars that were unlocked. So, I'm sure that people are just doing it for convenience because, they go out walking and they don't want to carry their keys with them or whatever, but you can't just leave a car unlocked and expect everything to still be there, or even your car to still be there when you get back.
I remember thinking once where we were going to put little flyers on doors we found unlocked, but then we realized that'd probably be an advertisement for the thieves to let them know that those are the ones.
The problem is what people don't quite understand is the people who break into cars and steal your stuff are responsible for most of the identity theft, credit card check fraud, and many times a lot of the drug use. And then that also is connected to the cars that get stolen. Other crimes that get committed by these people, largely to feed drug habits. And they come from all over the Denver metro area, Colorado Springs, Denver, up north. They come to Douglas County, where people aren't careful sometimes to steal their stuff and then go fuel their crime habit with that. And it's a common problem, and we need everybody's help to stop it.
So, we ask people to hide things or cover things up in the car, but once you arrive at the parking lot, is not the time to do it, because people are sitting there watching you, and they might see you covering stuff up and know that you have stuff in there. So the time to do it is before you leave home or before you leave work or wherever where you're stopped. Cover things up before you get there. That way, people don't see you doing that.
Right, a couple things here. Hey, Danny Ray, thanks for saying that, and cool flag, Stacy. I like that. Every time I get a chance to watch these as they're moving through, but they're coming through kind of fast, so I might miss some people, but thank you for your comments and again, the support. One other thing that we are doing here at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office is our community response to if we have a neighborhood that might have a bunch of burglaries, or we have some businesses that are doing that, we have units that are specifically designed to go into those units at those times and really saturate it. We call it an impact unit that works with all the other municipalities, and they are incredibly successful. We reduced the auto thefts here in Douglas County significantly, and also reduced the burglaries by this unit being out there and getting information from the citizens and impacting. And as Tim was saying, when something gets stolen, they're not stealing it just to use it because they wanted it. This is to further other criminal activity, largely drug-related stuff or other criminal activity that might be towards identity theft, and we really need that assistance from the citizens, and we are constantly trying to find ways to impact those types of criminal behaviors, and that's the kind of stuff that we can get some great support from the citizens when you reach out and tell us little bits of information.
And something we're not afraid to advertise is that criminal element that's down here, we're catching them like crazy. But I think all of us have been a little bit surprised on how many we're catching. Thought we'd knock a few off the street and the crime would go away, but we're catching a lot of people through various means that the sheriff's office utilizes.
We had a question about mental health, and if we're seeing an increase in mental health calls.
We have a critical response team that is a joint team with a deputy sheriff and a clinician, and we have 4 of them. We share that with the city of Castle Rock. They have an officer that works with us on their project. We also assist the city of Lone Tree. We have seen a significant increase in mental health calls. I think part of it is, again, we know that there are a lot of people that are still, some of them are out of work, some of them are at home. There's been some economic impact. There's been just a lot of different things that have caused pressures to people. And some of those things are becoming overwhelming for some folks. And so we're getting calls, and we always encourage those, because this unit comes out, and the goal of this unit is to minimize people from finding themselves in a situation where they're breaking the law, or they might be harming themselves or others. This unit is to try to get them assistance and help and minimize that impact. And they are incredibly successful as well. And we have some great partners around the Douglas County metro area and the southern Denver metro area, where we can utilize mental health support mechanisms when we have folks that we can contact, and we know that we can get them some treatment. And that has been a challenge for us, particularly during this COVID time, because our numbers did increase a little bit, but also there were a lot of services that just weren't available to us for a variety of different reasons. And those things are kind of changing now, and we're having a little bit more availability for utilizing the hospitals, because obviously they're keeping their beds for emergency circumstances. So it's working out nicely. We still are always striving to expand that unit and expand our partnerships with other entities, where if we have a mental health issue, our goal is to get that person assistance and treatment before something more tragic could occur.
We have one question here. We'll go ahead and just put it out there. It's just asking if we have any people of color on staff.
We do.
I think it's we have a wide variety of backgrounds here at the office, including doctors and master's degrees and everything on staff. Not to mention people of all different races and backgrounds, right?
We do. And I was looking for my document. I have a form that is completed by my personnel unit on a monthly basis that gives the stats, because we're required to report those to EEOC on an annual basis. And so we are diverse here in Douglas County at the Sheriff's Office. I always like to say we have a very large number of female officers. And although I don't consider that in a diverse circumstance, we have just a lot of female officers. We have female in supervision and command areas. But we also have people of color that work for our sheriff's office. And when we recruit in a lot of different areas, community colleges, universities, and we are hiring. We try to hire the very best candidate possible. But it's always our goal to be more diverse and be more open to all the communities that we serve here in Douglas County.
All right, Jason, here's a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Are there ways small businesses can protect their brick and mortar properties?
Oh man, there's a lot to that question. So yes, there is going to be physical security that you can address. You can come through and you can actually have us come and do a consultation with your business to talk about what you can do to help protect your business. But there's a lot of steps you can do. We can advise and consult anywhere from just some elbow grease and some maybe taking a little extra thoughtful measures, all the way to turning your place into Fort Knox. But that's not what a lot of businesses in this county want or need to do. So if you're ever looking to just have that security advisement done, you can call us at the Sheriff's Office. Just ask for Community Resources. Any of the Community Resources Division, which is myself, Deputy Brian McKnight, or Sergeant Jeff Miller, will come out and help you out and consult on that. A lot of those questions are actually talking about things like, can I pull a weapon to protect my brick and mortar or my property or something along those lines? And here in Colorado, that's a resounding no, you can't use a weapon to protect property. You can use it specifically to protect life. That's something that's very important for all things, including Make My Day law. I think I opened a lot of big doors right there.
Yes, you did.
Now you got to drop the microphone and walk away.
Boom, just boom.
That's right.
So
but I do encourage you to, if you have a business here in Douglas County and you have some concerns in regards to security or what's going on in your community, call this unit. They're very open to help, and we have lots of resources that we can share. So I'm very impressed with the work that those guys do, and I find out new stuff all the time. So thank you for doing that. End the question.
With kind of in relation to that same question is a question on how effective our community camera partnership is right now. That's something that businesses can definitely get involved in. It's a program where if you have a home security camera or a business security camera on the exterior of your home, if you care to register with our community camera partnership, it gives us the ability to just reach out if something happens in your area and see if you happen to catch any footage. It's not a Big Brother type situation where we have access to your cameras. It just gives us the resource to say, you're going to share with us that you have a camera and you would be willing to share. And then we ask if you happen to have anything. If you don't, you don't. If you don't want to give it over, that again, you don't even need to let us know. So encourage anybody with that camera to maybe go and check that out. It has been successful a couple of times where we got some footage and evidence that we wouldn't have otherwise gotten already. And it's still very new.
Colorado, isn't there an exception for property protection in the case of arson?
Let's see.
I always like it when we're all looking at the questions
Right.
at the same
The
time.
awkward silences.
And then everyone's like going, I'm not answering that question.
Yeah, well, yeah. So this is a hard question, though. It says in Colorado, isn't there an exception for property protection in the case of arson? Property is different. There is some nuances for protecting livestock too, but again, that's something that we'd have to get a little more detailed into the research. So you'd probably have to reach out to us on the side or offline, and we can look that up for you. Unless any of you happen to have it offhand.
I don't.
Let's see.
Another question about this one's the question is related specifically to Surrey Ridge and homeless population passing through the county type deal. But we can probably talk about in general throughout the county. It's not illegal to be homeless, and it's not illegal to be on public roadways or anything along those lines. Here we do have an ordinance that does not allow them to panhandle. So if they're panhandling in unincorporated Douglas County, we will ask them to move along. Any other questions you guys are coming across here?
We got one about DUI checkpoints.
Yeah,
They want to know where they're going to be for the next 3 months.
that's right. Yeah, on every intersection. Yeah, no, we do not do DUI checkpoints. We do what we call saturation patrol. DUI saturation patrol certain times of the week and evening, and then obviously during certain holidays, we put out saturation patrol in those areas. Those tend to be much more successful than DUI checkpoints. There's lots of regulation and not only federal and state law regulations in regards to those. So we actually find it much more productive to do the saturation patrol, and our traffic unit and some patrol divisions participate in that. And it's one of those kinds of things we also do with this unit you're talking to right here, is does educational programs through an organization called TIPS, or it's a training called TIPS, through our bars and restaurants that serve alcohol, in regards to information on how they can help us and help their patrons if someone might have drank too much and now they're getting ready to get in their car. And we have some great programs there where we share information. And the goal is just to keep people off the road that are drunk. And if we can keep them from getting in their car, then that's a success. And we look to do that. But it's also very important to know that DUI drivers kill, and they're incredibly dangerous, and they're we take no tolerance of that, and so we do aggressively work those areas in certain times for DUIs, and we encourage everyone the cost of a ticket and court and sentencing and everything else is incredibly high as opposed to an Uber driver. So call a friend or call an Uber. Please don't drink and drive, and save your own life and save another person's life.
Well, just a little. Oh, go ahead, Chief.
Hey, just a little side note to that is DUI enforcement has not stopped just because of COVID. In fact, DUIs are up 17% this year as compared to last year. So a lot of people out there still doing things they know they shouldn't be doing, and they're going to get somebody hurt. And the officers are still out there doing their job. Obviously, they're doing more arrests than they did last year.
And then just a personal story that I just encountered is I was with some friends that they were going to drive inappropriately, and I said, no, as a good friend would do, I told them they shouldn't be driving, that they're probably not in the condition. They swore they were, and they challenged to pass a roadside sobriety test and failed miserably. Would have gotten a DUI if they would have gotten that car. So something I just like to make clear to people out there is just because you feel better than you were does not mean you're sober to drive. Usually it takes a while for that to break down in your system. They say, what was that, Chief?
Hours.
It's 0.02 per hour, and the average one single beer is 0.02 or around there. So make sure you realize that it takes more time than you think, and just because you're better than you were does not mean you're okay to drive. So make those appropriate arrangements. It's super important for everybody to stop these deaths that happen from DUI.
So what's the saying is good friends don't let friends drive drunk? Isn't that what the saying is? Exactly. It's true.
Yeah. I just noticed that our good friend Captain Darren Weekly just joined on. He's listening in, and he's spying on you guys, because we'd like to do a program on a weekly talk with the jail and let some people kind of have some information. We get lots of people question us, well, what goes on in the jail, what happens, and it's a city in itself. There's a lot of things that happen, and Darren Weekly's the captain and commander over the detentions division, and has a lot of responsibility for protecting the courts, the judges, and involved with probation and housing inmates, and so we want to do a program that would have him and his staff on and answer a lot of questions in regards to what we do. And a lot of people have questions like what happens in the facility. And so we'd like to share that. We used to do tours a long time, but we can't do that now. So that's what you get, Darren, for popping on right now here at the end. We're going to get you hooked up and get a program for the community to talk about it, because it is another thing that is a mandatory, it's a constitutional responsibility of the sheriff, is to maintain a jail and to house all prisoners who are arrested inside that county. And so we have a responsibility to the 3 municipalities and the state patrol to house any persons that they take into custody. And there's a lot of very interesting nuances in regards to housing people in a county jail. So I'm looking forward to having that program on as well.
I don't know about you, but that sounded like a call out to me. We'll look forward to seeing you soon, Captain. Thanks.
There you go. That's it.
Another question here is, what's involved to do a ride along with an officer? Well, right now they're not happening, unfortunately, because of COVID, but in normal times, what's it looking like?
So right now we have stopped it, but essentially what you do is you can call in at the sheriff's office on the non-emergency line 660-7505. They'll forward you to the patrol division. You can fill out a form, and there's a few basic questions that they ask, and then what time you like to ride along. Those, where at our northern substation in Highlands Ranch or here at headquarters in Castle Rock. And then we put you with an officer depending on what shift you're looking for. So it's pretty easy and pretty seamless. We encourage that for people to come out and do a ride along. We always encourage people who are looking to change into a new career. It's a good idea to get into a car and ride around with a deputy for a shift to just ask them questions. So we are hoping that at some point we as a community and as a country and a nation and a world can get control of COVID, and we can start going back to things like that, which are great educational programs and very helpful for the community to do ride-alongs.
Sarge, do you want to talk a little bit about our Citizens Academy and that opportunity?
Yeah, I was getting ready to talk about, a lot of people wonder what we do. They have an idea of kind of what we do, but a lot of people don't realize what all a sheriff's office does. I think a lot of people that go through our Citizens Academy is really surprised about all the responsibilities that we do. We are planning one this year, and we just opened sign up for it last week. Depending on what COVID does, we could take that thing virtually. So right now we're kind of up in the air whether we're going to do in person or not. So if you do sign up, just be aware that it could go virtual. But no matter what, it's going ahead. So we're going to do it.
Well, and it's kind of a fun program because a lot of people question transparency of an agency or anything like that, but it is a full-on behind-the-scenes look at everything going on in this place. Pretty detailed through multiple different programs and show you a lot of what we do, and we get to have a lot of fun while we do it.
So, Sergeant, I've got to jump off here. I have a meeting right now at 2 o'clock. We're going to be here in my office in a second to meet with the commissioners. So we've got to discuss some issues. So I apologize, I have to leave early, but thank you all citizens that got on the line, asked questions, and encourage you to be a part of this. And Tim and Sergeant Jason, thank you guys for putting this together, and we look forward to doing the next one. So thank you guys all very much, and talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and we'll be back probably in a couple weeks.
See you then.
Be safe, everybody.